Hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Chess Mathsters. Today, we are going to be learning about en passant and castling. These are two basic fundamentals of chess. They might sound confusing at first, like the word en passant, but if you get used to it, you'll realize how helpful it can be, and it can help you beat beginners if they don't know what these two moves are. So, let's start off with this first position. In this first position, it's a complicated endgame position where some of these pawns are fixed, all these black pawns. And if you don't know what en passant is, you might think that a4 is a good move. Now, a4 might look like a good move, but it's actually a terrible move. If en passant wasn't a thing, then this would actually be a good move. These pawns are fixed, and you might be able to get a promotion if they're not careful. And the king's already over here, so they're not going to make it anyway. So you'll promote to a queen, right? But actually, here, black automatically wins. Because there's this tricky rule in en passant that you can take a piece when a piece is on the 4th or 6th rank, and the opponent piece moves up 2 squares. Then the move right after that, you can take it like this. It might look like magic, but if you do b takes a3, this happens. Did you see that? It looks like the a4 pawn just disappeared. And that's a really cool move if you're playing a beginner. They might think, what? You just took my piece. What are you doing? That's not allowed. But if you teach them about en passant, you might realize. And as you can see, if this pawn takes, this one can promote. And if you don't take, then this one can promote, and it'll be really good for black. Black will basically win this game. Let's look at another position. In this position of en passant, I just set up a random position where you go d4, e6, a4, e5, a5, and b5. I'm just showing you what it would look like on the white side. So, as you can see, the black moved 2 squares. Notice, if it went 1 square and then another square, you cannot do en passant. Or if it did b5 and you did another move, like knight f3, you cannot do en passant again. You can only do it the move right after they move the pawn up 2 squares. So let's go back. After they do b5, you can do a takes b6, and the b5 pawn basically vanishes again. So those are the two positions I'm going to show to you today, and we're going to move on to the next tactic, castling. Okay, so you might be familiar with this position, e4 and then e5. And then it's knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, and knight f6. This is where you can do something called king-side castling. You must check if you can do castling if you're playing on a board and not on the computer. If you can't do castling, it won't let you. This is one of the only times where the king can move 2 squares, 1 and 2, and the rook can jump over a piece. It might sound crazy, but this is what will happen. So castling looks like this. It's going to be pretty quick, but I'm going to show you. The king moves here, and the rook moves here, like this. It looks like they switched places because they did. And the good thing about castling makes your king more protected with these 3 pawns. And the rook is right here. The rook can probably hop out in this file, and the king is protected. That's what you want. If the king was stuck here the whole game, that might be okay for you, but it makes it more dangerous for a queen or a bishop to come down. Here, they have to go through these pawns or this rook. Maybe you can even put your queen here and try to protect that pawn and protect your king. So, that's the first way to castle. But we're not done yet. There's still a couple things you need to know. Queenside castling and when you cannot castle. I'm going to do another position for you to see. So, I've changed the position up a tiny bit here, and I made a few more moves, and now the black bishop has captured the white bishop. That might be bad, but you think, hey, I can still castle, right? This bishop is kind of annoying, and I want to protect my king. But the problem is, you can't. If your king is in check, you cannot castle on the move after, unless you protect it with something, and look at this bishop. The bishop is in the way of the process of the king moving. So if you're in check, you cannot castle the next move. And if there's a piece blocking it from castling, you cannot castle either. As you can see, the computer will not let me castle. It's not letting me because it knows the bishop is blocking this square. There's one more thing you need to know. If the king or this rook ever moves, you cannot do a kingside castling. Even if it moves there and back, or this moves there and back, you cannot castle. There's only one chance, which is why you should do it in the beginning of the game. In the end game, it might be okay to do it, but you should focus on doing it in the beginning game so your king is protected. Now, I'm going to show you the queen's castling. It's pretty similar, it's just on the queen side. Okay, here's the position if you want to do queenside castling. I made up a random position, and it might look a little strange, but for now, I just want to show you how queenside castling works. So I'm just going to do a random position. Knight c3, knight c6, d3, d6, bishop f4, knight f6, e3, e6, queen f3, bishop d7, and now the queenside castling. There it is. The king moves 2 squares, and the rook moves 3 squares. They're the same guidelines though. If the king and the rook move, that means you cannot queenside castle. If there's a piece blocking it, or if you're in check, you can also not castle. They're the same guidelines for the king and the queen. You can sometimes choose. And just to let you know, the notation for castling, for kingside castling, it is O-O, and for queenside castling, it is O-O-O. So that's it for today. Today we looked at en passant and castling, the 2 beginner fundamentals. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you want to be updated on our new videos. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.